today.
No, like normally. Remember I was always calling you purple?
I know. That's because I absorb
You absorbed
the royal color.
Yeah, you guys can start.
All right. Okay.
Sorry.
Hey, Maria.
Hey, Lisa.
Here we are again. It's Friday.
It is Friday. TGIF.
Today's the day. It's recording day. Let's get started.
Let's get started. Lisa. Oh, the music. Anyways, so today, Lisa, I want to introduce you and our audience to this wonderful friend of mine. Her name is Dr. Madeline Cabrera, and she's the owner of Emmaty. And normally I will read all her accomplishments, but I heard from previous guests that they feel a little bit uncomfortable. We're going to put it back on Madeline. We want to learn about her background, where she's from, how she got here, and obviously talk about her professional as a construction business owner. So without further ado, here's Dr. Madeline Cabrera.
Welcome.
Oh, thank you so much, Maria and Lisa, for this wonderful invitation. I feel blessed to be here. It's an honor. So my name is Madeline. I came to the United States in 2007, right after I finished my bachelor's in electronics engineering back home, Colombia. I came as a nanny.
Wow.
I was taking care of two little kids. It wasn't easy. But then this wonderful country opened its doors, and I was admitted to pursue a master's degree at Howard University in electrical engineering. And then after that, I got a job as a software developer at EMC Corporation. It was bought by Dell Technologies. And then I continued my education. I did a PhD in systems engineering at George Washington University, and then a postdoc in biomedical engineering at Harvard School of Engineering. Yeah, and then, well, life is life.
That's right.
So I think my motivation to join our family business, the main motivation was to be able to spend more time with the kids. You know, I think I was running marathons every day because, you know, so many, I was working full time while pursuing my PhD. So I found the fact that we had this family business a blessing, and I was like, I'm just going to stop everything and I'm going to just concentrate on this business while being more time with the kids. And now the business evolved, and I can tell you more about the business.
I'd love to talk a little bit about, because that's an amazing history, right?
Indeed.
And that is quite the accomplishments. Any one of those, had you stopped anywhere along the line, that would have been amazing. So you came here from Colombia in 2007. You pursued you had a bachelor's, so you pursued your master's at Howard.
Yes.
Terrific. Engineering. Tell us a little bit, if you would. So 2007, just trying to picture what the world looked like at that point. An engineering degree. How many women were in your class? How? I'm just going to stop with how.
Yes.
How was it?
I'm going to tell you why Howard. So one of the requirements of the program was I had to go to a language institute, and I didn't know English at the time. So basically, I showed up to the class every day, and then I saw this was the Language Institute of Howard University. And then once in a while, I saw the classes, and I started dreaming that it was going to be possible if I started the process to be admitted into the school. So I just asked a lot of questions, and actually I was able to audit one of the classes in telecommunications, and my professor gave me a letter of recommendation, and everything started there.
Wow.
Wow.
I received a scholarship from Howard University to pursue my master's.
Amazing.
And yeah, it was a blessing. Yeah.
Ah, that's so
Thank
sweet.
you.
That's
Yeah.
terrific.
A lot of hard work. Actually, so many times we do not believe in ourselves. We are kind of our self-enemies.
Yes.
And it's this mind, right? Oh my gosh, your English is not good. Your academics are not probably at the same standards the U.S. But yeah, I mean, working super hard every day, I think it breaks barriers. Yeah.
That's amazing. So, were there a lot of women in your course? I'd love to know, just in engineering, what does a class look like in
So
engineering?
we were at the Center for Energy Systems and Control. All of us were master's students, PhD students, so we were only 2 women.
Wow.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
we were like 20 people in the lab, only 2 women. Yeah.
That's amazing.
yeah,
That's
so-
great.
That is amazing.
So
Thank you.
congratulations.
Oh my God, yes, yes. I love the story when we met, and we'll talk about it, in a little while. How you went for your PhD, how persistent from that moment when you told me that story, I'm like, oh my God, my new hero. And I know that this is a story you have to share for those people that when they hear the word no or maybe, not to stop there.
Yeah, so I think you're referring to my master's.
Okay, your master's.
Yeah, so I was rejected by Howard University 3 times. And actually, that was the only university I applied to.
Wow.
And a semester after semester, I never received the acceptance letter. And I was like, I am not going to apply to any other university. Why? I do have TOEFL. I do have the GRE. I do have all the requirements. Why they are not accepting me? And I spoke with the director of the engineering school, the dean, until one day, actually, they walked with me to the admission office. And he directly asked the admission office why they had not processed my application. That was a Friday. On Wednesday, I had the acceptance letter.
Oh my gosh. That's
So
amazing.
moral of the story, do not give up.
Do-
Ever
yeah.
give up
Yeah.
when you want something really bad.
Yeah.
And can I ask why Howard?
I found it was a great culture.
Mm.
I think from the first moment I show up to my English class, it was open arms. They had a great engineering school, great people from different backgrounds, and I don't know, I just found it was very convenient for me because I lived close by.
Yeah.
That was
okay,
actually
yeah,
one of the
alright,
main
okay.
reasons. And yeah, actually, I didn't receive a lot of guidance also. So I think that was at the time my only option,
Okay.
right?
okay.
At
Okay.
the time.
That makes
Alright.
sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. But good for you. Good for you
Yeah,
to
thank you.
power through that. So in 2007, so you're here, you're going for your master's finally. Shout out to Howard University for finally welcoming her in. You had children at that point?
No.
No children at that point. Okay. And then you finished at Howard and you moved on. Next was Georgetown. Is that right?
Yeah, so I moved to Massachusetts.
Okay.
So there was a job fair. Recently I had Matthew. Matthew was 2 months old, and I went to the job fair, and there are technology companies, etc. And actually, it was a friend. I didn't know what type of company was EMC. So
Yep.
my friend was actually in the line to speak with a recruiter, and he was like, "Madeline, come here, join me." So I had my resume. I gave the recruiter my resume, and after a month, I received an email that they would, they wanted to interview me, etc. And they had a job, and the job was in Massachusetts. Actually, I thought I was applying to a job in Maryland because that's where I live. So they called me on Tuesday, and they asked me to be in Franklin, here in Franklin, Massachusetts, the following day. And I was like, sorry, I think there is a mistake. I applied actually to the office close to my house in Maryland, and they said, no, the job is here. Do you want to do Zoom? So I did a Zoom call,
Nice.
and then I got the job.
Wow.
And yeah, we moved.
So
Later, yes.
When EMC calls, you move.
Exactly, yeah, it was a great opportunity.
That's
you
yeah.
were supposed to be here in Massachusetts, period.
Yeah. At the time, I had already accepted. I was going to continue my PhD at Howard. I was part of a research team, etc. A research with the U.S. Army. Everything started there because now in contracting, DoD, I had to tell them that I was leaving. Yeah, so that was also hard. But like now I had Matthew. He was at the time 3 months old. So now priorities change when
Yep.
you have kids.
Yes.
So priority Matthew, and husband, of course.
Of course, of course. Lisa doesn't know this, but do you want to share with Lisa and the producer and our guest how we met?
Absolutely. So to me, knowledge is always power, right?
Absolutely.
And you cannot pursue things alone, and actually you cannot achieve great things alone.
That's right.
The first thing when I joined the company was it was clear to me I needed someone with knowledge, and someone told me about SCORE, right, which is an SBA sponsored, I think, organization. So I went there. I put all my contact information and why I wanted a mentor, because the whole purpose of SCORE is a mentor.
Yes.
There are a ton of mentors, and oh my gosh, my eyes opened when I saw Maria's profile. You are allowed to have only one mentor at the time. So I had to be very careful, and I had to basically choose, from my perspective, the best mentor. And I chose Maria.
Nice.
And then I was praying for her to get back to you, because obviously the mentor has to accept.
Yeah.
Right? They are only, I think you're allowed to work only what your time permits.
Right.
Right. So then we started working. Thank you so much, Maria, for those. I think we had meetings every month, and she was super structured. And actually, she was the one that opened my eyes to government contracting, state contracting, and she started talking about all these certifications. I was like, oh my gosh, this is a complete new world to me. Yeah.
The minute we connected, the first meeting, the entire meeting and every meeting after that, we only spoke Spanish. It felt so good to me. It felt so good to her. We would talk about families, and afterwards, after she completed she completed what she needed to get from SCORE. We kept on talking, and we've been friends ever since.
Nice.
Yeah.
And it's just been a wonderful friendship. I also want you to talk about, because to me this is so important that people understand this. You had just completed your PhD. You were working for a company. I want for you to share the transition from working for a company to owning your own business, but in between you also went for your contractor supervisor license. Yeah. Please tell that story, because to me it's amazing. You guys have to hear it.
So can you tell us what a contracting supervising license is?
Yeah, so at the time, our business was, my husband hired 2 people, and between the 3 of them, they were cleaning gutters, and they were doing exterior siding cleaning, etc. When I joined the business, I was like, I think we can do, instead of cleaning gutters, I think we can install gutters. And Hector, what about if we clean roofs? Why don't we install roofs? So we started doing our small research about the requirements of the state in order to pursue this type of work. And then we found that one of the requirements was the unrestricted construction supervisor license, which I think it's the hardest exam I had taken.
Really?
Yes. It is open book. It is open book. I'm an electrical engineer, and I think I didn't really have this hands-on experience, right? So now you had to start learning all this terminology, and so I took a class, I presented the exam, I failed. I think I had the lowest score ever. I was like, this is going to be almost impossible to get this. Then I took another class, which was great because they gave you a structure to pass the exam, right? So I followed the framework of this professor, this teacher, and I passed the exam. Yeah, and then we were able to move and shift our direction from cleaning to actually installing and working with residential customers, which I think it's a process. It has, we have to develop muscles, right? And grow organically. And the fact that we started working with homeowners for years, then we moved to working with federal projects and state projects, but every single step was very, very important, right?
It's the ingenuity that's I'm always amazed by. You know, we talk to a lot of small businesses. We talk to a lot of mid-sized businesses that were once small. And there's a pathway. It's not a straight line. You know, we talk a lot about certifications and about looking for statewide contracts and looking for government contracts. And they're wonderful. They're not you're going to be, congratulations, you're going to be a millionaire. You didn't need a lottery ticket. You're put in a position, which is exactly what supplier diversity, these DEI initiatives are. It's about discovery and connection and making these steps, but then putting you in this amazing position to be able to say, we can go forward with cleaning gutters and cleaning vinyl siding, or we can pivot. But nobody gives you the pivot. You have to be able to do that on your own. And I'm always so in awe when we have people like yourself that are just, one, absolutely brilliant. I mean, your education speaks directly to that. But the idea that you took this business that was already started and were able to massage it into something, and I'm as we're building, I'm going to get really excited about this because I completely geeked out on your website. Like your sustainability, the environmental, like all of it. I don't want to jump the gun, but I'm so excited for us to get there. But I just wanted to say that you know, this, to me, this is what we're doing here, is we're bringing people like.
Absolutely. Because, you know, there's a lot of people out there that need that little guidance. Not much, just a little kick. Also, I need to do this in order to accomplish this. So, Madeline, can you please tell us how the certifications, the diverse supplier certifications that you have obtained, have helped you and opened doors for you?
Yeah, definitely. Can I have a comment?
By all means.
Yeah. So when you say that, okay, we're going to open a business and now we're going to become rich. Oh my God, I think it's the complete opposite. Right? Because, for example, in my case, I was working, you know, I was a senior software developer, receiving a salary, benefits, retirement.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden now you don't have anything, right? Like you are on your own.
Yes.
And it's hard. Like, and the thing is that because things, there are up and downs. The most important thing is in those downs, what are those decisions we are making, right? Because I can easily say, you know what, I can just go and find a job in the industry, right? And I'm done.
Yeah.
So how important it is what you're building. So you really need to have a passion in order to overcome all these problems, right? That will come.
I always say I wake up with the same amount of excitement and fear every single day. Whether I'm in the middle of 2, 3, 4 contracts, or whether I'm trying and looking for my next contract.
Yeah.
Wherever I am, it is the exact same
Definitely.
amount. Because it doesn't really matter. To your point, I don't have a paycheck hitting my bank. I don't have my 401k that a
Right.
company is supporting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Yet.
But it's really that. I can remember the day I woke up and I was like, wait a minute, everything is on me.
Yes. Well, you
Then
no
you have
longer
to fit into that and be like, this is awesome. This is awesome. Everything is
Yeah.
on me.
you no
Right.
longer have the safety net.
Yeah, it's all gone.
It's
That's
all
right.
gone. So to me, and then I want you to jump back into your dialogue. And I'm sorry, but I just want to say this: I have learned not only doing this podcast, but also all the clients that I have had in the past. Then every time I ask them what motivates you, they say the same thing: passion.
Passion.
So that's
Yeah.
the number one ingredient
Yeah.
for any business owner. I mean, we can ask our producer, what
Yeah.
motivates you with your business? Passion.
Yeah.
So
Definitely.
as you were, Madeline.
All right. Yeah. So when we had this first conversation with you, you mentioned the certifications, WBE, MBE. You also mentioned, I remember, DCAM, and all these certifications that make it, no, I'm not going to say easy, but more accessible. These these contract opportunities. What I learned from you was that we are a small business with limited resources. How do we make sure that we win contracts without competing with these big companies that have all the resources, all people that can spend so much time, for example, in all the areas of construction, and of course they do have a ton of past performance, and we cannot be compared with these companies that have been in business for a long time and are bigger, right? So the state have this WBE, Women Business Enterprise, Minority Business Enterprise programs, and the main goal is to basically open doors for these businesses that do not have all the resources, but have all the motivation and the know-how, and they can start small and slowly grow their team, resources, learn the process, and be part of the procurement.
Yeah.
That was the whole point. I learned all that because of you. So we pursued this WBE, MBE, we got the certification, but it doesn't stop there.
No, it doesn't.
Nobody is going to hire you because you are a WBE.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody.
Yes.
MBE, nobody's going to hire you.
Can you repeat that again, looking at the camera, please?
Yeah, nobody is going to hire you only because of certifications or socioeconomic certifications.
Excellent.
No. We have to prove that we actually provide value, that we are able to perform contracts. So actually, you also advised me to get the DCAM certification. In order to get the DCAM certification is so important. You need to have past performance.
Absolutely.
You need to have past performance, so that's when my residential customers help us, because now we were able to choose these projects
Yes.
that we had successfully developed, and now we show them, hey, we are capable of performing this work. We do have the licenses. We are, we have the personal. Here we are. We are, by the way, WV, MBE. Now, so they basically gave us the DCAM certification, which wasn't easy because they do have a requirement. It's reviewed financial statements that stop us for 1+ year, and it is not cheap.
No, it's not.
It has to be reviewed by CPA that is registered in the state of Massachusetts, etc. So It is a process. It is not easy, and my application was rejected several times, and that's why it's good to have experts
Yeah.
that advise, right? Because you can be wasting a ton of time
Absolutely.
if you don't get the right help.
So it's funny you say that because that's how I talk about Maria's business often, right? I did all of my certifications on my own. I didn't know that I didn't want to do them on my own until I finished doing them on my own. Do you know what I mean, right?
All the rejections.
All the rejections, all the paperwork, all the nonsense that, it's important nonsense. I'm not knocking the nonsense. It's just, I think it's more cumbersome than people understand that it is. And I used to say to Maria, I don't know how people know to hire you until they've gone through the process. And then they think, I should have hired Maria to go through this process. And, what's become clear to me is I've just started kind of opening up my certifications across the nation. And now it's like, well, I don't want to do this again. I'm not doing any of this again, right? That's, but it's so important then to have somebody who can mentor you through,
absolutely.
through the process and what does it mean and how does it open doors.
Invaluable.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Agree.
So this is fun because I feel like this is Maria, and certifications and here, especially as we have kind of all of this movement that's happening in the world that, we touch upon, but we pretend like it's not really happening during our podcast. But as these executive orders, as there's these anti-DEI movements, as there's, we're not sure what's going to be happening with certifications, et cetera. I believe to my core that the discovery opportunity is what everybody should be desiring. Whether you're in the utmost of capitalist, if you believe in and recognize competition, what your organization does is it allows real capitalism to be happening. It allows people like yourself to say, hey, I have these skills. I should be up against the next bigger company, mid-sized company, large organization. And from that, allow me an opportunity to bring my best self to the table, or my best crew to the table, or my best innovation to the table, and really give the good fight, the good business fight, which is, to me, why all of this makes the most sense anyway. It was, again, why I love this podcast, is that we get to talk about the importance of certification solely as a way to understand and identify supply, not solely, let me get rid of the word solely, but as a means to identify individuals that are coming in with skill sets, coming into the country in 2007, going to Harvard, going to Howard, pursuing Georgetown, getting a PhD, understanding, having that grit and that wherewithal to pivot an organization. That's business. That's business. It's no longer. I'm pontificating, and I apologize, but I get really excited when real entrepreneurs come to the table, when real business comes to the table and says, I'm here, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, and I'm excited by it, and I'm excited that you played a role. So that's it for me. I'm going to stop talking about this. And
a very important role.
A very important role.
And I thank you. And here's the thing. People that know me, they know that I'm a very loud advocate for the small business community, specifically the BIPOC business community, gay and lesbians, the disabled, the veterans, the disabled veterans, to obtain these certifications because it's going to help you. It's going to open doors, but as Madeline said, it will open the doors. The rest is on you.
Right.
Exactly.
So, talking about, I know that Lisa mentioned how you were able to pivot. And looking at your website, again, I'm always enthralled looking at her website because she pretty much does everything under one roof. Yeah. I remember after you got the certifications, I'm looking on your website and I'm like, oh my gosh, she's doing now solar panels. Good for her. And then you told me that you had this big contract. I believe it was, please correct me, it was Maryland, and you had to open an office there. And I'm like, oh, my little girl has grown. Can you please talk a little bit about that and what it took you to get from that point to be a small business doing siding to this business now that has blown, up and doing so much in the construction field?
Yeah. So we go back to certifications. We not only pursue the WB and MB, but from the federal space, we are 8A certified, HUB zone, and women-owned small business. So because I think the 8A was an important resource, we met a contracting officer, Mr. Mitchell, in Maryland, and he opened the door for us. He gave us a small contract where, we basically remodel an office space, and they are monitoring. You don't have any past performance with the federal government, so they monitor your performance on the contract. You want to make sure that it's done correctly, that you meet all the requirements, etc. And now this contract followed another one. And year over year, since 2020, we've received contracts from that base.
Wow.
For Mead and for Dietrich in Maryland.
Wow, that's amazing.
That is amazing.
Congratulations.
Thank
Absolutely.
you.
And
Absolutely.
again, doesn't happen without the hard work. So congratulations.
Yeah. And also the team. I mean, you cannot do things alone. It's very important to surround yourself with great people that believe in you. So many obstacles, but also the motivation and knowledge of people we will be able to overcome all these difficulties, right? And working with the federal government, now we are working with the state, and we can talk about it. We have 2 contracts with MBTA, and it's not only following the process, but one thing will follow and will open doors. The past performance and the good work that you do here will open doors for the next big contract. Why? Because the customer will always require a review, right? So every agency, in order for you to get pre-qualified, you will have to prove that if you were given the opportunity to pursue something in this agency, you were able to actually perform the work, right? And how well you did it, right? If there were, everyone knows that there are always difficulties. How did you react towards these obstacles and these difficulties, right? So they ask all these questions to the contracting officers, if it's in the federal space, the COR, the contracting officer representative. So we now, from the federal space, we are actually working on 2 important projects with the Air Force in Cape Cod. I
Wow.
think we are close to Cape Cod.
We are close to Cape Cod.
We are close to Cape Cod, yes.
Yeah, so the military base here in the Air Force base, we're going to perform an important work there, and also the Natick Soldier Center.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so this is our 2nd project with them. So, we are super excited. And now we can talk about MBTA, which is state work.
Yes, go right ahead.
So MBTA had this great initiative. They have this program called Small Business Enterprise, SBE. And because of the other certifications, we prove, hey, here we are MBE, WB with the state, and 8A with the federal government. They gave us the SBE certification. Of course, also you have to prove that you have equipment in place, that you have done the work. So we were awarded a very important contract here in Boston, Cabo Yard, the remediation building. So we got this contract last year, and we're about to complete it. Also, we got another contract to work and remodel 10 restrooms of 10 train stations.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
Around Boston. What can I say? It's uh, it wasn't easy to put the a strong team in place, but now we do have a great team, um, engineers that work so hard, and people in the office that are like submitting. It's another level, I have to say, working with state agencies. Another level, and we are overseen by two engineering companies, one of them ACOM for the Cabo Jar project,
Yep.
the other one from Jacobs Engineering for the restroom project. So we have to basically submit all these submittals. If we are going to install the minimal thing, it has to be approved by the engineering company.
Wow. Wow.
So it is working at another level. Beautiful level, but yeah, you have to grow and improve. Yes.
So you've brought your organization from 4 people
yeah.
to
So we are now 17 people.
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
that is quite a jump.
Yeah.
And again, I'm going to, at the risk of sounding redundant, all these certifications open the doors for her to also employ more people, helping the community grow. This is another important key factor in why certifications are important.
Yeah.
It's also, I want to add on a layer of that, which is why procurement is and should be local, right? When we think about the amount of money that is spent on contracts, and when we consider those dollars, if we spend local dollars, we keep local dollars, right? And that's really important for procurement teams to remember that.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
I mean, there are plenty of small businesses and businesses in general right here in Massachusetts. Let's grow the economy here.
That's right.
Let's hire people from here and keep the money here.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So these 2 projects were SB set aside. Now we're in the process of getting a pre-qualification because we had never applied for pre-qualification for a BTA. We are pre-qualified by Mass DOT as an electrical contractor, and we received the DCAM certification also as an electrical contractor and as a GC. So for MBTA, now we are going through, as we are speaking, we are going through the pre-qualification process, way more strict, are bigger contracts, so we have to basically show them and prove them that we are able to perform the work and that we have the equipment, et cetera, et cetera. So we are going through the pre-qualification process, and yeah, I mean, super excited for the things that are coming. Something to be super aware, it's the importance of bonding.
I was going to ask you that. That was going to be because I had clients that have lost. I mean, they were right there at the finish line. They could tiptoe on it, and because they didn't have the bonding, they lost the contract. So can you please explain what bonding is and why is it so important?
It is in the construction industry. If we are an engineering firm, the requirement is not there. But if we are a construction company, there are 2 types of bonding: performance and payment bond. Performance bond, we want to make sure, the government wants to make sure that we actually complete the work, right? If for some reason we fail, then the bonding company comes and provide the resources to complete the project. And payment bond makes sure that all subcontractors, all people at the job site are paid, right? So super important because how much bonding you have basically allows you to bid on the project, right? If it's a $1 million project, you will need a single project 1 million, right? And then you will have an aggregate, which is the total amount of all projects. It's X, what the surety company qualifies you for. In order for that to happen, you will need to have in order your financial statements, right? I think now, before I didn't know, actually my background is not in business. I was studying engineering all my life. All this business terminology, balance sheet, profit and loss, I literally had to Google it. Because it is so important. So now we have a great CPA who is basically performing our, having all the information ready, all the financials ready to submit always to the surety company. Line of credit. If a company doesn't have a line of credit, it's going to be extremely difficult to obtain a bonding.
Wow.
So you can start small. We started with $5,000 a line of credit, 10, and now you prove that you are good with small projects. Now they start giving you a little bit more, right? A little bit more, and I mean, line of credit, super important. Second, good financial statements. Now you are gonna get a bonding, right? And super important, perform on these projects, because every project that is successfully completed not only will open doors for more projects, but also for more bonding.
Right.
Right? So, yeah.
What's coming to mind for me is when you were talking about just a few moments ago, you were talking about the MBTA and moving through this new phase and all of the things in order to get pre-qualified that you had to perform. And you know, one of the groups of people that listen to the podcast are the procurement teams, right? The others are people that have nothing to do with procurement and really think more about kind of the cultural aspect of what we bring to the table. When I hear people talking about supplier diversity in a way that is less than just procurement, and we've talked before about just how insulting it is.
Yes.
You are, everything as you were talking about the pre-qualification was so insulting to me as a practitioner of procurement, because what kept resonating was, see how we ask these questions, see how we ensure that we have ample opportunity to collect as much information from you as possible to mitigate risk. From a procurement perspective, how do we mitigate risk by bringing on suppliers? Doesn't matter diverse, non-diverse. Does not matter. It matters that have we created an evaluation criteria that will select the right candidate and that move them through the pipeline, so that as we are building through that evaluation and we're collecting all the documents and we're ensuring that bonding is in place. And it's reiterated. So I was very much listening. I don't want you to think I wasn't listening to what you were saying, but I did put my procurement lens on for a moment, and I thought, see, this is why it's insulting. Because for both of us, right, from the procurement perspective of we're doing everything we can to mitigate risk for organizations, and see, you're doing everything you can to just say, let me at the table, let me show, give me the opportunity to prove it.
Right. Yeah. It seems like there's a lot of obstacles that a business have to go through in order to be an approved vendor to the state and even federal government. Some of them, as you know, I sit on the Small Business Advisory Board for the state. Some of them seem to be redundant to me. And I know that as a board, we have worked to remove some of those obstacles. But there's a few more that should just be done away with. One of them was where they reopened, the state reopened several of the trade contracts.
Okay.
To allow more small businesses that happen to be certified. And one of the requirements was you have to have 5 years of experience. Yeah. Why? 3 years will do it. And most of the small businesses that qualified, that were certified, they had the 3 years. So I know that they changed it on some of the languages. And when the contracts are expired, I believe that they're going to implement that language.
Is there anything that we haven't asked you that you were hoping we would talk about today?
Oh, wow. So I would say for an entrepreneur that would like to pursue federal contracts, state contracts, I would say it is important to start small, of course,
Perfect.
but think big, right?
Always. Always.
The importance of, for example, diversification.
Mm-hmm.
This is what we did at Emmaty. We didn't close our homeowners business, right? We started, we continued serving homeowners, doing roofing and solar projects, because there is a main difficulty when you're working with state projects, especially state projects, because federal payments are quicker than state payments. For example, for the contract that we have with MBTA, after 3 months of starting the program, we receive payment. So we have to ensure that the company has this cash flow, right? So we are able to survive during these beginnings of a contract.
Yeah.
Right.
So important to, come up with a strategy to have money and cash flow. It can be through other sources of income, right? Well, we start and we get first payments, right? Once we get the first payments, now, we are fine. But those first months of a contract are difficult.
Yes. Yeah.
I like that you say diversified your portfolio, right? Because of the matter of being paid. I know of people that have put all their eggs in one basket. It was all federal, and with what's happening now in the environment we're in, those contracts were pulled out. Now they're freaking out because they never wanted to be bothered with state or private. They put everything on federal, and now that well is dried. I love that point, so thank you for bringing that up.
Thank you, Maria. This was a great point. Definitely my advice that also for people that are doing federal contracts like us, we don't know what is going to happen. Budgets are less money, tighter. So my advice is moving also to state. There are, for example, in this in Massachusetts, these great organizations, MBTA, Mass DOT, in Massport, and of course DCAM. DCAM will open doors for all these universities, cities, all these institutions where we have to be pre-qualified as a DCAM contractor. Also, the DCAM certification. If you have a DCAM certification, it counts for MBTA. MBTA will accept it.
Very nice.
So that is great. So one thing opens another door.
There you go. I like that.
I love that. Because we're at the wire, I'm going to ask bigger questions around sustainability.
Absolutely.
Yes, please.
Because
we don't have to end it right
we
now.
love some sustainability conversation, and I know you're moving into that. I know from your engineering background, this is important to you. So I'd love if you could just, in a few minutes, talk about how to automate buildings so that they're more sustainable. What's the point of entry into that? We're in Massachusetts, which means most of our buildings are pretty much older than most other parts of the country. Is that difficult, more difficult? So I'm going to hand it over. I hope you have a good sense of what I'm trying to get out of this question.
Well, absolutely. So now Emmaty, the focus is, sustainable projects, renewable energy. So we bring this consciousness of energy conservation to all our projects. So what we do, we perform solar energy designs and installation, but it doesn't stop there. Because if we have a building with bad windows, We can produce all this renewable energy, but then now air is going to leak,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
So, simple practices, make sure that when we are installing a roof, right, is a good roof, right? So basically it seals, protects, etc. Windows, also triple panel windows. Make sure, especially in this weather of New England, super important. So basically all this renewable energy that we produce, it's not wasted,
Right.
right? By not highly insulated
Yep.
building. Yeah.
Are you seeing this more? Are you seeing this as the need for sustainability being asked for in new projects?
Yeah, so more than so I would say energy conservation, right? Energy is so expensive. It's becoming so expensive. And with all these new AI generation, artificial intelligence, that requires data centers, that requires, the storage of a ton of information and ton of energy at the end of the day, right? So basically by 2030, the projection is that 7% of all U.S. energy will be required by data centers.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
That is a ton,
Wow.
right? So basically, if we build a home and we know that the quantity of energy that it's needed in a home, it's optimized, is less. That's a huge help for everyone, right?
Right.
And also you save money. It just makes sense. And I think the state of Massachusetts, it's great with that. Basically, they are providing this federal first, the 30% tax credit for renewable energy for solar. And also, for example, if you change your windows, I think there are rebates if they are energy efficient. If you get a new refrigerator, also if it's energy like Star, something like that, then they will give you credit.
So the movement to
rebates.
automate our homes and have everything connected and et cetera, is the intention of that to save energy at the end of the month? Is that
Yeah, for example, you turn a light on, right? So basically the whole system, that line is going to stay on all day.
yeah?
Right.
So if we have a smart light detection system, now if they do not detect movement for a couple of, for a time frame, now this light is going to turn on off automatically.
I want
Right,
to
so
talk about that. I want to talk about that offline.
Okay.
I want to be able to walk into my house and say, "Hey, Google, Alexa, whoever it is,
Siri,
do-
whomever.
whoever, just do everything."
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
right. Turn my lights on, feed my dog, the whole thing.
This has been such a wonderful conversation. And as we are coming to an end, I would like to ask you, where do you see yourself and your company in, I'm not going to say 5 years, let's say 3. Where do you see yourself and your company?
Really nice question. So we are, of course, we see ourselves, bringing more talented people
I like that.
in order to perform great work. And we see winning more state contracts, performing all these contracts well. It is not about the size of the contract, and I've learned this the hard way. It is not about the size of the contract, but the profitability. How profitable a project is, right? Sometimes it's better to take a small project that you don't suffer that much.
Yes.
Yes.
That you are able to complete it faster with less resources, with more automation of processes, etc., than this big contract that probably is not going to be profitable. It's going to bring a lot of headache, and also choose your customer wisely. Not all customers are good.
Yes.
You're hearing
Yeah.
this?
Yeah, that takes years to
So-
figure out, though, right?
It does. It does.
So my organization, I'm in year 2. I'm heading into year 3. My first year, if you called me and asked, could I do? The answer was yes. Like, it didn't matter. It didn't matter what you were offering to pay me. It didn't, right? Because again, that fear of being in business.
Right.
Where now it's, hold on.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
I have a worth. I have an offering. I'm going to breathe while I'm working, and yeah, I love that though, to think about the profitability.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for that.
Yes,
Thank
yes.
you.
I have another question. It's follow up. Not really follow up. They're not even connected. But I just want to know, how do you feel? To me, collaboration is such a huge part of what I do.
Yeah.
Without collaboration, we would not be here. Lisa and I would not work together. Her business and my business, they walk very together. So we collaborate a lot. How do you feel about collaboration, period?
It's key.
Love that.
Collaboration, collaboration with the community, collaboration with other companies. As a matter of fact, we established one joint venture.
Ooh, I love those.
Yeah, with Bay Electric. It's an electrical contractor they primarily work with federal government. So we established a joint venture. They are kind of our mentors in terms of all these federal contracts and bigger projects, etc. Also, I have to disclose something here. We are, like my background is in engineering and software. With all this AI revolution, I cannot just keep here still. So we have a partnership with IBM, with Dell Technologies, and Schneider Electric. So we are going to launch Emmaty technology.
Whoa, you heard it here first.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
That's
thank
amazing.
That's amazing.
And other type of projects, software related, more inclined to AI. So we are working super hard on that. As a matter of fact, yesterday all day we spent with IBM in training, etc. So so we're gonna launch our own product.
Is the product going to be, I can walk into my house and say, okay, Emmaty? Is that the...
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
Yeah,
All right.
maybe you can be our first. You can test
Thank
our
you.
product.
Oh,
But yeah, it is very exciting because I feel like one thing brings you to the next
Yes.
one.
Exactly.
And yeah, I mean, creating a team and bringing, the business to the next level.
That's awesome.
And yeah,
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So, any final words to our audience? I'm sure that they have found you, they will find you as fascinating as we have,
yeah.
Lisa and
Thank
I
you.
have. We can talk to this lady all day. Any final words to the audience?
So I would say persistency and discipline.
Love
You
that.
don't have to be motivated to do things. That's the main mistake that sometimes we do, right? Oh, you have to be motivated. No. Sometimes we have bad days and you still have to wake up, go to the office and do your thing, right?
Yes.
So, with motivation, without motivation, but with passion,
I
right?
love that.
Believing 100% in what you're doing, surrounding ourselves with great people. I'm going to say also hire fast, hire slow, and make sure to let go people fast also, because one team member that is not good, especially at the beginning of the company, oh my gosh, can cause a lot of suffering.
Yeah.
Yes.
So make sure every company is different. Every company has a different culture, a different sense, purpose. So depending on yourself, your company has a personality as well, right? So if someone is not a good fit, sometimes we want to be persistent, make
Yes.
sure, oh my God, and it doesn't work like that.
That's right.
Right? So, and that's why people. So in the company, we have a tremendous group of people that work great together. And, we all support each other. And we are a combination, right? So I don't really know how to, for example, read drawings or these civil engineer drawings that this company, but we have these great people here in the office that are able to quantify using all these tools, Autodesk, etc. Other people are great creating these relationships with others, right? With other companies, the collaboration part.
Right.
Right, super important. There are also projects that where you haven't had the past performance, but you can bring other companies that have done the work, and now you bring them as a team partners. So important because the big time you are not going to have all the requirements, and you need other organizations that you can, bring to the table as subcontractors, team partners, joint venture, etc.
That's amazing. Thank you.
Well,
Thank
with
you.
that, I want to thank you, Dr. Madeline Cabrera, owner of Emmaty. It has been so delightful to have you here and lovely. And I wish I could come up with more words, but right now they fail me. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your openness. I love you.
Thank you.
You know this. I love you.
Thank you, Maria. Me too.
With
Definitely.
that, I want to leave everybody with the same quote I say at every closing is, let's continue to amplify diverse voices and promote meaningful dialogues. And with that, thank you so much for listening. This is Maria, and until then.
And this is Lisa. And did you just say that quote without reading it?
He almost suffered a heart attack, didn't he?
Congratulations.
I just wanted to surprise him. Last night I said, he goes, you got it. And I'm like, that's right.